favorite moments in the film, strangely enough, is when Fantasia and Taraji P. Henson go see the Flying Ace.
Yes.
And the wonder on their face and the way you push into the 4:3 ratio and it comes out, goes color, then black and white. That's such a beautiful moment. I was wondering, do you remember a moment like that for you in a movie theater when you saw something like that that brought that wonderment that they have in that scene?
Yeah, no, it's incredible. That scene is almost, for me, a homage to this incredible medium. First of all, I was clear that we were going to be traversing 40 years of time, of American life and innovation in The Color Purple. So what I try to do is anytime that Celie's imagination will get expansive and sprawling, I'll use some new innovative thing to do that. It was a photograph when she was young. It was a gramophone when Suge arrives. Then it's the movie theater. And all of them help her push into this imaginary space. But for the movie theater, it wasn't originally in the script. This is something that I brought. And I talked to my writer, Marcus, I said, I really feel like we need something that blows Celie's mind.
Yes.
Right? And something that we can see her fall in love in real time.
Seeing herself on screen, essentially.
That is it. And she can create an approximation of herself, the elegance that we haven't seen Celie have before. Starting to see herself, because ultimately, for me, I really believe that people who have dealt with abuse and trauma are constantly in their heads inventing themselves and figuring out ways to liberate themselves. And I feel like that's what happened with Celie. But my personal first connection with cinema was there were these evangelicals. I grew up in Ghana. So these evangelicals who will come and project movies outdoors for free in soccer parks. And I lived right next to a soccer park. And so they would show these Jesus movies, and the one that they often showed was The Last Temptation of Christ.
Scorsese's film?
Scorsese. So the wildest thing was, I mean, they came to convert. What they did not know was that they were converting me to the religion of cinema.
I think the way a character sings can inform an actor a lot about the emotional and immersive nature of that character. Right. And you think about, like, if you were to sing in real life, I would imagine that's different than the way Mr. would sing. Like, if you look at In the Heights, your character there sings differently than Harper would sing. Can you talk about the difference in finding the way a character sings and how that emotionally gets you into that person and how you see that difference in the vocals?
Yeah, I could immediately, it makes me think of between, I just did Rustin and doing Color Purple.
That's right.
Very different voices, very different bodies, very different what comes out of them. The thing that's very interesting about Color Purple is that Mr. songs have been cut from the musical. And I didn't even ask why, I just had to make a decision for myself. It's like, that's part of who he is, the fact that he doesn't have a song.
Except when he's singing behind when you're walking on the beach.
Yeah, just a little bit. But his voice is different, too, at the time. It's still more hopeful. I took out a lot of resonance in my voice and just made him a bit higher pitched because he's younger and he's hopeful and he's trying to find a song. He's creating that song in the moment. Even when the opening shot, when he's trying to play, he's trying to find his song. But it's not, he doesn't have the full capacity of it. He has the fullness of song. It lives in him in a different way. The other actors do, which I think is fascinating and lets you know about the characters as well.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about how, like, especially in musicals, you don't sing unless the emotion sort of rises to the point where the character doesn't have any more words. It rises beyond words, and so you have to sing. Like, that's what's engaging for me. Harpo also, and when we read the draft, he didn't have a song as well. But I was like, he needs a song. He needs a song.
Your song is one of my favorite songs. The working song is it's incredible.
But it was
because the character should have a song.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he should sing. Right. Harpo has to sing because he's trying to find his voice, right? He's trying to find that thing that's different from his father and his father's father.